It was real. Absolutely real. So lots of rumors that this was fake. Absolutely not fake. I had reporters at the rehearsal. This was not part of the rehearsal. They were not rehearsing this together. There's lots of different things that go into TV shows. This took everybody by surprise. I even had people in the control room. They did not know what's going on. So people at the Oscars in the control room, the boss is there. They thought that this might have been some sketch that had been arranged without anybody telling them, but it quickly became clear to everybody that this was real. And now today, they're doing a lot of cleanup.
Sorry, Allison, I know you have a question, but Rob, just 2 seconds. The joke would probably have been a part of the rehearsals, right? It wasn't like
Absolutely.
This joke came out of nowhere, this crazy joke.
Yeah, I've been at these rehearsals, and often the scripts are read by everybody, producers, they're in teleprompters. Now, they're saying that one remark about G.I. Jane was an ad-lib. Very, very possible. There is something about that joke, though, that nobody's talking about. Within the African-American community, when G.I. Jane came out, it was a dig towards women, implying that they might be gay. So that's another aspect to this story that I think people are not really understanding. So it was not just a joke about her hair. If you're a member of the African-American community, you probably know that if you call a lady G.I. Jane, you're questioning her sexuality.
That's a good point. Yeah. Demi Moore was not gay in that movie, but that's a good point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Rob, we know what we're seeing publicly. Celebrities are coming out, people are coming out and issuing their feelings. What are you hearing behind the scenes from people inside?
Yeah, the pendulum's really swinging. So 24 hours ago, I think people thought that this might not go away, but they didn't think it would be quite as dramatic. Will Smith did not think it would be like this. He went out partying with his Oscar, lots of pictures of him out having a really, really good time. Chris Rock disappeared. He went to a private party by Madonna's manager. And so I think people thought it would just sort of evaporate. The news cycle goes very, very quickly. At the time, just after the show, the Academy put out a really brief statement and then wanted to move on. Now they've put out another statement. And then yesterday, I was told there were emergency meetings within the Academy. And they're really actually talking now about repercussions. What are they going to do, including maybe even taking the award away from Will? Will is aware of this. And that's why after almost 24 hours, he finally issued an apology to Chris Rock.
You know what bothered me, and I didn't see this live, like so many people, I was sound asleep, but this bothered me. Everyone in the audience, and then you see Denzel Washington, and you see that all these people kept coming up to Will Smith, consoling him as though he was the victim. Chris Rock composed himself and handled this so amazingly. The only reason I thought it might be fake is because, as they say in Hollywood, the show must go on, and the show did go on. What do you think that says about who we are as human beings, that we rallied around Will Smith in this situation, not the guy that got assaulted? Anybody else goes up there, let's say Anthony Hopkins, who was there, or Kevin Costner, who was there, or Mel Gibson goes up there and slaps Chris Rock in the face, they're hauled out of there and arrested.
Yeah, there was conversations about that too. Within the control room, they were talking about, shall we pull him from the show? What should we do? Ultimately, they let the show go on. I am happy to say Chris got off stage really, really quickly, and backstage people did console him. Producers went in to talk to him. Other comedians there, Wanda Sykes, who was one of the hosts, she ran up to his dressing room. Amy Schumer was backstage. So we didn't see Chris get hurt. We didn't see that response to Chris because he wasn't in the audience. He was backstage. People backstage told me, really, they did rally around Chris. And also to Denzel, he did talk to Chris Rock as well as talking to Will Smith. The hard part for me here was that the show just went on. And I think now the Academy are really trying to figure this out today. What should you do if something like that happens during live TV? What do you do? They put out a statement saying, had this been pre-taped, they would have stopped the show. What do you do with a live show? How do you handle it? All these conversations are taking place. And I'm telling you, Willie's not out of the woods yet.
No, he's not. He shouldn't be either. Rob, that's the time we have. Come and see us in studio, Rob. We missed you.
We shall see you soon.